Nice.
Okay. All right, so this one right here, very first one, is more with the tables and whatnot. But they give you a little story problem here. It says E. coli bacteria reproduce by division. Every 30 minutes, one E. coli cell divides into 2 cells. A new E. coli culture is started with 1 cell. Okay, so we've got to fill in this little table. So the X is going to be the time, and the Y is going to be the number of cells. So at time 0, our starting time, how many cells do we have? 1. So we'll put a 1 in there for a Y.
You
okay?
you can do like 0, 30, 60,
Yeah, right. And then the
120,
next thing
right?
that's good, that's exactly right, is since it says every 30 minutes, for the next time I'm not going to put 1, I'm going to put 30. Okay? And then after 30 minutes, how many cells are there? Because this one cuts in half, so there are 2. The next time would be 60. How many cells are there now?
4.
4. Nice. Because each of the 2 cells cuts in half, so the whole thing doubles, and so there are 4. Then another 30 minutes after that, there are now 8. It's doubling every time. What's that?
120.
120, and I think you guys could probably
60.
fill it in now on your own if you want. Yeah, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so forth. You probably don't need to go all the way to the end. You get it, right? You got it. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's Watson. So these are going up by 30 every time. What are you doing over there, Rachel?
Putting different shoes on.
Okay. And then these double every time.
So we don't have to go over there?
I don't think you have to. You get it, right?
Yeah.
You don't get it? I don't think that's true. I think you do.
It's 1024.
So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, and yeah, that last one is 124.
I didn't do B or C.
What do you say? 1024. Okay, B. So this is like the 3rd or 4th time that this has come up, where you're doubling every time. Jacob, will you put your phone away, please? Thank you. And so you should know the formula for this maybe now. Since you're doubling each time, it's going to be y equals 2, because it's doubling, right? Okay, to the x, yeah. Except we have to do something funky here. That works for the first one, because if I put in 0 for x, what's 2 to the 0? 1, which is what I got, 2 to the 0, and then I get 1. But if I put in the next number for x, 30, 2 to the 30th is not 2. Okay? 2 to the what is 2? 2 to the 1. And so I need to make this equal to 1, so that means I'm going to divide that by 30. So since it doubles every 30 minutes, it's 2 to the x divided by 30. If it doubled every 15 minutes, it would be 2 to the x divided by 15. Yeah, whatever the doubling time is, that's how it goes. Okay? What's that? I don't know what just happened. Okay, C. State an approximate domain for the model based on the context. The domain is the x's. So what did the x's go from what to what?
Plus 30.
Right, but what was the smallest one that they had?
30 to 330.
Okay, 0 was the smallest, 300 was the biggest. Okay. All right. D, how many E. coli bacteria will be present after the 10th 30-minute interval? So 1, 2, 3, what is it? 512. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 512. E, after what 30-minute interval will you have at least 600 bacteria? 11. Because this one was the 10th, right? So the next one would have to be the 11th. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to take a look at a graph of one of these things and see what that looks like. Anytime you are faced with the task of making a graph, hopefully you understand that what you need to do is make a table. Okay? So let's pick some numbers and put them into the table.
-1, -2,
-2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay? So you will have calculators available to you in this, but let's figure this out by hand anyway. -4 times 2 to the -2. Do you remember? This has been a long time since we've looked at this. What do you do with negative exponents? Do you remember? If I were reviewing this, how do I make it positive though? What do I have to do to make it a positive? You're right, I'm going to change that to, instead of being 2 to the -2nd, I'm going to change it to 2 to the 2nd. So what?
I thought -1.
Where does it, yeah, you're right. Where does it have to, what do I have to do in order to change my exponent to be positive?
Multiply it by negative.
No. Close. Yeah, I have to put it on the bottom. Do you remember we talked about that? The negative exponent is bad, so you have to send it to the basement until it behaves. Okay? So 2 to the -2 is 1 over 2 to the +2. Okay? I don't know, because they want to be smarter than anybody. So what's 2 squared? 4. So -4 times 1/4 is -1. Okay? So the upshot of that whole thing is, if you put -2 in there for x, you get -1 as an answer. Okay? All right, so now let's do the same thing for -1. So I need to figure out what -4 times 2 to the -1 is. Well, now you know how to handle those negative exponents. What do I do? 1 over 2 to the +1. Okay? What's 2 to the +1? 2. And what's 1/2 times -4? Right, the answer is going to be -2. So when I plug in -1 for x, I get -2. Okay? Yeah, we'll see a pattern here in a second, I think. Okay, now if you put in 0, what is 2 to the 0? 1. Any number to the 0 power is 1. And -4 times 1 is -4. And so Frances is a smart math student. So she said, is there going to be a pattern? Do you see the pattern? What's happening? Right, so it's doubling every time but staying negative. So what's this next one going to be? -8. And what's the next one going to be? -16. Okay, so now we can graph those. You get it already? So if I go -2, -1, that's right here. -1, -2 is right there. 0, -4 is there. 1, -8 is way down there. So the graph looks something like that. So which one is that?
B.
That's B. Yeah. Okay. Okay, number 3 says estimate the solution to 3 to the x equals 59,049. So this is asking this exciting question. 3 to the what power equals 59,049. Now, because it's a power, okay, not multiplication. So give me a guess.
9.
9. Okay? Calculator me up. What's 3 to the 9th?
Not that answer.
What is it? Is it
It's a
bigger or
guesstimate.
smaller?
19,683.
It's what?
19,683.
Okay, so that's a pretty dang good guess.
No, it's not.
Okay? It's
It's gonna be
close.
in the 20s.
You think,
I think it's gonna be like 22. Maybe 22. No, that's
How about 15? Try 15.
way too big.
Try 15.
What? Yeah, it's 10. She was close. She was off by just 1. What's 3 to the 10th?
That number.
Is it that number?
It's that answer.
Okay.
For 10.
And so what's happening here is that when you guys said, when she gets to the 9th, and you got 19,683, you were thinking she was way off because they needed 40,000 more. But this 3 here means you're multiplying by 3 every time. And so since 19,683 times 1 more 3 makes this, that means your answer is 10. Okay? So 3 to the 10th. Okay, number 4 is an easy one. It looks confusing, but it's not. It says, for the function f of x equals 1/2 to the x, determine the value of f of x when x equals 0. 1, right? Because anything to the 0 power is 1. So when x equals 0, if I go 1/2 to the 0, then I get 1 as an answer. And you don't have to do that whole graphing calculator. All right? Okay, let's look at another one. So now we're into scientific notation and fractions and decimals and things like that. Okay? So they give you 6 numbers, and they're all written in different form. And you have to order them from the smallest to the biggest. Okay? Well, obviously the negatives are going to be the smaller ones, right? So which is smaller, negative 3.34 or negative square root of 9? Right, because what's negative square root of 9? Right. So the smallest one is negative 3.34, and then the next smallest is negative 3. So we use those. Okay? What's going to be the next smallest number after that? What's going to be the next smallest number after 0? Because 0 is right in between the negatives and the positives. Okay? What's that? Okay, 3.2 or repeating is 3.22222. 10 thirds is 3 1/3, which is 3.33333. Okay? But what's pi?
3.141.
Okay, so which one is the smallest of those? It's pi. Okay, because it's 3.14, which is less than 3.222.
Skip 1. You skip 1. Skip 3.2. Before pi.
Wait. Shh. Hold on. 3.14 is smaller than 3.2 repeated.
No, these are right.
Okay, so I did not skip anything. 3.2 repeating is going to be next. Okay, and then 10 thirds is going to be after that. So that doesn't match any of the choices. Okay, cool beans.
No answer.
So the answer number 1 is false.
No complaint.
I was about to say that, but it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Okay, hey, shh. Okay, number 2, now we are going from least to greatest again. So do you remember scientific notation?
Nope.
Okay, this number right here tells you what?
What is?
6,
It's
3,
moved
12.
over 3 times.
Right, it tells you how far to move the decimal and which direction. So since this one is positive, I move it in the positive direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So that number is 6,320. This one is negative, so I have to move it 2 in the negative direction. So that'll be 0.0632. This one is also negative, so I have to move it 4 in the negative direction. So I think you can see that that's going to be the smallest. And then this one is negative, so 1, 2, 3 that way, like that, okay? So which one of those is the smallest numbers?
-4.
Right, and because it had the -4, that was our clue that it was going to be the smallest, because I had to move the decimal over 4 places, so that's going to make it really small. So the smallest number was 8.32 times 10 to the -4. What's the next smallest number? The one to the -3rd power, because that gets moved only 3 places to
It's D.
the left. Then this one is 6.32 times 10 to the -2. Okay? Yeah, you still have to take it, Nolan.
Oh, 6 and
You still have to take it. Sorry to burst your bubble. Oh, what, you don't have to? Because why?
Because I took it last year and
Oh,
passed
so is that the same with Stacy then?
I don't have to take it?
I'm confused about this. Did I pass the echo test or whatever?
All right, so let's finish this up, these last 4 questions. All right, so this one, number 1 on this section involves you understanding what the word integer means. So can you tell me what an integer is?
Any positive?
It could be positive or negative. Right, it's a positive or negative whole number. Okay? Technically, whole numbers are only positive ones. Integers could be positive or negative. Okay? So if I want to go 1 over a and I want to get a positive or negative whole number as an answer, will that work if a is any integer? In other words, if a is 5, will 1 over 5 be an integer?
No.
No, that would be a fraction, which is called what kind of number?
A fraction.
A rational number is a fraction. An irrational one is one that can't be, okay? What about if a is positive?
No.
No, because same thing, if I made it be a positive 5, 1 over positive 5 is not a integer, okay? What about if a is in between 0 and 1?
No.
Why not?
It could be less than
But what if, give me a number in between 0 and 1.
1.5.
No, in between 0 and 1. 0.8. Okay, so let's say if I had 1 over 0.8, what does that work out to be? 1.25, which is not an integer.
No.
Okay. So you guys are going to love this.
Oh my God.
What about when a is greater than 0?
You
That's the same as when a is positive, so that won't necessarily work either. Okay? So, no solutions.
I'm sort of hating this.
Yeah, that's kind
Why
of
did you pick it?
making me a little frustrated. But
Waste of a tree.
See, now this is just teaching us that they're wrong.
entire tree.
We could be making signs.
Okay,
for all
number 2. This is an easy one. For what values of a is negative a always positive?
Multiply by Wait, I don't know.
What numbers could I put in to negative a and get a positive answer? What? Yes, any negative number.
Or they're
Is this the answer?
Uh-huh. And the reason for that is if you put a negative number in there, say like -3, what's negative 3?
Positive.
3.
Positive 3. If I put in -7, what's negative 7? Positive 7. Nolan?
You can put in 0 too.
Or you could put in 0. If a is negative or 0. Okay. But you get the idea then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 3. Given n is an integer greater than 0. And a is a real number. Okay? When is a to the n always negative? Okay? What's that? When a is negative, so the very first one says when a is negative. So give me a negative number.
Negative 1.
Okay, so let's say a equals negative 1. Okay? What if n equals 2? What is negative 1 to the second power equal? Right, positive 1. So will that work?
No.
No. So if a is negative, if this one is even, anytime that's even, because a negative times a negative is a positive, that means that answer is going to come out to be a positive number. What if n is, instead of being n equals 2, what if n is 3? What's negative 1 to the third power? Negative 1. So two things have to be true here. Not only does a have to be negative, what has to be true about n? N has to be odd for that to work out to be a negative number. So the answer is D. So a has to be negative.
Oh, they just combined that.
And n is odd. Okay, so it's not enough just for a to be negative. You have to also raise it to an odd power for that to work. Okay? All right, and then the last one. I have the square root of 5 minus a. And I want to have a real number as an answer. Okay? How would I get a number that's not a real number as an answer? Give me a number that I would plug in for a. No, that's a real number. Decimal's a real number. Give me a number that I could plug in for a and I would get a non-real answer. 4. Now if I plug in 3 or 4, if a is 3, then I would go 5 minus 3 is 2. And the square root of 2 is a real number.
Negative.
Okay? How about if a is 4? 5 minus 4 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. That's a real number.
How about 2?
Okay?
How about negative?
What trouble do I have underneath the square root? What type of number can I not take the square root of?
Negative number.
A negative number, right?
So do like
Because
12.
if I tried to do the square root of negative 9, that's not negative 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 is what?
9.
Positive 9, right. So I can't take the square root of a negative number. So what value of a would give me a negative number underneath the square root?
Like 12 or...
Like 12, right? Because if I said a is equal to 12, 5 minus 12 would be negative 7, so that wouldn't work. Shh, girls in the back, shh, 3. What's the cutoff point?
5.
Okay, 5, right, because if I put in a equals 5, 5 minus 5 is 0. I know the square root of 0 is 0, so I'm okay with 5. I'm also okay with 4 and with 3. What numbers am I not okay with?
Anything above
6,
5.
7,
Anything
8,
above,
9.
not, but there's some numbers in between there that you missed out, like 5.1, 5.2, those would give you problems also.
Whatever.
So anything where a is what?
Bigger than.
Bigger than 5. Okay, so if a is bigger than 5, then I get a non-real answer. So I need a to be less than 5.
So
Okay, so the answer is a. Okay.
Let's be done.
If it's bigger than 5, it won't work. And so since they want a real number, then it has to be
Can I
less
go to my
than
locker?
Okay.
Mr. Aldous?
Okay, I don't know. Will you guys pass those forward?